morning, listeners and viewers. For those who are on the audiovisual channels, X, YouTube, and TikTok, you're welcome to the Capital Gang 91.3, the most prolific and longest political talk show in Uganda, a political show, a talk show of choice and of record. My name is Edgar Muvunyi Tabaro. I am sitting in for Oscar Semoya Musomesa. He's making it to the station. He's a victim of his own progress. He lives in a very leafy suburb, and the roads to his leafy suburb are being repaired. So he's a victim of his own progress and the country's progress. This morning, to discuss the topics that are before us, are three gentlemen, exceptional gentlemen, and those who have striven for mastery in the professions in which they are captains. We have Mr. Derek Wandera, a journalist, who also doubles as our Gen Z of this talk show. Mr. Wandera, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Edgar. It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure being hosted by you.
Oh, by me. Your highlight of the week, sir?
Highlight of the week. Quite disheartening information coming in from the newsroom.
Newsroom, okay. We'll have opportunity to discuss that in detail.
BBS Telefiners, our very own Sekan Jako went to rest. We'll be burying him tomorrow in Kochi.
Sad news.
Sad news. He actually succumbed to a blood clot. I think he had ulcers. He succumbed to it yesterday, and it's very sad in our environments.
In a way, both are really diseases of lifestyle, and non-communicable diseases, and they can be avoided. But eternal ripples for.
True, he was ulceric. He had acute ulcers. I've covered with him a lot of events, including the last budget reading. He was working, but mainly he was covering Parliament. He was an astute man. He covered and moved his profession with a lot of rigor, with a lot of vigor, and a lot of professionalism. I feel we shall miss him in the profession. He is probably one of the middle-aged men who was really looking up to these young ones and very helpful in the field. Like, he wouldn't let you go. He wouldn't let go of your hand. Whether he knew you or not, he would always guide some people who came in the field with a lot of not a lot of information around. We miss him. It's very sad. We're very sad as a fraternity, and as we say, his soul rest in peace.
And to the right of Mr. Wandera, the opposite of wrong. To the right of Mr. Wandera is another gentleman who's striven for mastery as a lawyer, as a former civil servant, as an activist, and lately treasurer. Is it general?
No, he's actually national. We
like using titles like general. Like, I think,
can I make a correction?
The president of the Democratic Party is President General. So I also treasurer general.
I just make a correction. The guy is called Seruwoza. Seruwoza. Just a correction. Simple.
So before us this morning is also Mr. Benjamin Katana, national treasurer of the National Unity Platform. Mr. Katana, you're welcome. And your highlight of the week?
Thank you very much, Edgar. It's a pleasure to be hosted by you. Hopefully we will not be debating with you all through.
We shall be referring to Article 29 of the Constitution.
That when you want to make reference to because former civil servants differ. There are those who are fired, there are those who are interdicted. Say retired civil servant.
With pleasure.
Yeah, of course, I'd like to, just like Derek has mentioned, to extend my heartfelt condolences to the family of Joseph Seruwoza, the media fraternity, and the particular media house he worked for. A very humble man. I interacted with him occasionally, and many times I saw him come to our office to interview my partner, He was a very dedicated and humble servant. We pray that God grants him eternal repose and gives the family the fortitude to bear with the loss. And of course, I know you remind me that we'll have an opportunity to discuss that. The unfortunate developments involving the former Lord Mayor, very abhorrible. But as a student of nature, I know that it points to the beginning of the end, that the sun is setting on the empire.
Well, I didn't know you were a poet. I thought the poets in the legal profession, it was a reserve, a reserve of Justice Munango Gola. Thank you so much, Mr. Katala. You're most welcome. With us also is Mr. Duncan Avigava. Duncan is a Russian-trained policy what? Analyst, policy expert, economist. I think his postgraduate there was, I think, post multidisciplinary, if I remember.
No, it was economics.
Economics, okay, sure. With us is Mr. Duncan Avigava, also a former civil servant. He's still a civil servant? No. He was either discharged or went absent without leave.
Both my uncle Katan and I chose to leave the public service. We were never fired. It was at our discretion. We wanted to try out other things.
You have to try out other things. If
yes.
I may recall, you were a special presidential assistant on research?
Yes.
A special presidential assistant on research. Then I think he later went to establish the Government Citizens Information Center.
Interaction Center.
I
was deputy director.
Deputy director.
Yes.
Okay. You're most welcome to the show. There are many topics to discuss this morning. There's so much that is trending. We have Chankwanzi cabinet retreat for the newly sworn in ministers. We have the arrest and trial. The arrest and trial of the Honorable Erias Lukwago.
You're a lawyer, is that an arrest?
Ex mayor of Kampala City. We also have the World Cup. So we'll start with the World Cup, and Mr. Derek Wandera is going to be your analyst for the first topic.
I am a footballer. I do play football, by the way, quite a lot. The World Cup, I think it's picking up steam, not like the days it started. I think the first African match was between Mexico and South Africa. And we left the job to South Africa to do their job because we didn't want to take their jobs. They had another the other day, which they drew. I think it was, I don't remember, I think Iran or something. But yeah, African nations.
We also had DRC and Portugal.
Yeah, and African nations.
President Tshisekedi was in attendance.
Yeah.
Together with Patrice Motsepe.
Yeah. African nations are doing very well. I see Morocco. Morocco is having 4 points on the table. They are in the same group with Brazil, so Brazil is topping that table with 4 points as well, and Morocco has also 4 points. Just they are doing well, and then I think Ivory Coast have 3 points. They are also leading high on their table. They have another game today. And we are hoping that African nations can actually go ahead. We see very, very, very important names. Amad Diallo of the Manchester United doing quite well. That handed he did well in the last game. That handed Ivory Coast their win. They were actually the first African nation to post 3 points. But Morocco did it yesterday when it triumphed, and so African teams are doing well. We've seen. If you're looking at DRC versing a title contender Portugal that has the GOAT, you only have to give them their flowers for doing it to make a draw.
And the shots on goal were really quite a number of shots on goal.
They outdid themselves. But Congo is actually a very good and strong team. They have very big names, and I know that in this World Cup we're going to have 2 or 3 teams that are going to try to maybe like up to quarterfinals and stuff like that, and I know that they're doing so well. South Africa, they have a job to do for themselves. We can't do their job.
But now on the organization, I thought you talk about the organization. And
there's quite a lot of
the issues of visas. And
there's quite a lot of organization and administrative issues that are happening at the World Cup. Being US, having Iran in that game in the tournament that you are head on, like in terms of civil but also political unrest there, and you're having a game. Football is one game that brings all of us together. It's forcing us to be together in that sense of Iran and US. But now Iran cannot stay in the US even when they have to play their games in the US, so they have their base in Mexico, which is bringing a lot of controversy. But also the visa, US refused. Okay, US, they had suggested that all visas that have anything attached to World Cup should be subsidized, but also given a few conditions here and there. But the US stayed their visa at their own conditions and at their cap in terms of money acquiring it. So you find that more than half the tickets that were supposed to be bought for World Cup are in their offices. They have not been bought. So it's kind of a loss-making venture this time around for FIFA. A thing that the management of FIFA, the president of FIFA should have looked into while organizing this, and should have had a candid conversation with the US to allow for all of us to enjoy this glorious moment of the entire globe. But that didn't happen, and many people couldn't get their visas to go and watch. So many of the games that are being played in the US, save for Mexico and Canada, they are having empty stadiums because of the visa ban and stuff like that. But also even like transporting people from Mexico, people are forced to stay in Mexico or Canada to enjoy the games there. And yet the games that are happening in the US also are very important, and they would happen here. Okay, so FIFA goofed on that. That's what we say. That's how we call it in the newsroom. FIFA goofed. So I don't know what the comeback can be, but yeah, that's how the state of stuff.
Okay, sure. Before I go to the others, what's your take? We are hosting AFCON in 2027. What lessons can we pick? We are co-hosting AFCON. What lessons can we pick from the organizational capacity? We can draw parallels, but what lessons do we pick?
At that point, it all stands and stays at the managerial but also leadership level. I've seen very many calls on the FIFA president, Engineer Moses Magogo, on how he has organized, how he's doing everything, and people have been calling him out to resign or take him out. I've seen our very own honcho in the media, former MD at New Vision. That's
Mr. Robert
Kapshenga.
Yeah, don't Wanyama, the present MD, is part of the organizational committee.
Yeah, but Kapshenga has actually expressed interest in taking
the FIFA presidency.
Yeah, the FIFA presidency. So it all starts and the back ends with the leadership as of now, because the citizenry can't do anything, the supporters and stuff like that. We've seen quite a number of developments in Uganda, the new stadiums and stuff like that, some of which have been called out by CAF and things like that. We only can take lessons from what's happening in the US, what's happening in Canada and Mexico, to make sure that we up our game in terms of how do we organize, because it now calls for infrastructural development, it calls for organization and stuff like that. Like Kenya, I've seen they have come up with very good stadiums there. I mean Tanzania is doing the same. I don't know what's happening in Uganda. Of course I know that there's something being put up, but we need to up our game.
Yeah. Thank you. Now, maybe from Duncan on the governance issues to do with the World Cup. I know. Would I be correct to say you're pro-Russia? Given that you're Russian trained by the politics of it, and Iran playing in the game, and
you could also say that I'm pro-America, because I was in the United States of America for some time, attending a fellowship at Georgia State University.
Oh, Georgia State University.
Yeah, for a couple of months. So you could say I'm
also
Georgia State University, not George Washington.
No, Georgia State University.
That's a Republican.
And you do?
Yeah, it's a
Republican. Okay, sure. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not so into football, but in the spirit of East African integration, my team at the World Cup is the DRC. Yes, I've not watched any games yet, but I know we are progressing.
I can assure you, when you go to the DRC, you'll find names like mine, Tavaro, Abigava,
exactly.
Katana. So
yeah.
Well, you never know.
Mandela is in Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah. So DRC is my team. Of course, the governance issues, I would say, this has been the most political World Cup we've ever seen. Broking the Somali referee, denying him entry into the US when he had all the requirements, accredited by FIFA and so forth. And of course, how the Iranian national team has been treated. They have a game, they have to cross from Mexico into the US, and they are under very serious surveillance. And after the game, they have to go back. So I don't think, I think politically, this has been the most political World Cup football tournament we have had. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Now, Mr. Katana, national treasurer of the government in waiting, under the Westminster style of government.
I have no experience in playing football.
No, but we're talking about the governance.
Yeah,
because,
but
we are hosting AFCON, and what lessons we can pick, and what NUP would like say to hear from the leader of the government business on the floor of Parliament in terms of preparation for the AFCON, drawing from the experiences of what is happening at the World Cup.
Yeah. Of course, since the inception of World Cup, I think in 1930, it's been one of those monumental events to look out for whenever that time comes. This time around, on account of the different time zones, it takes a lot of commitment for people to remain awake to watch these games. But I think this World Cup has brought to the fore very many, challenges that are facing the global world order today. You have a referee accredited by FIFA being denied the visa on account of coming from Somalia. After September the 11th, the US government has had a challenge of profiling people on account of
their religion
and
to an extent race,
which is very problematic. But on account of its standing on the international scene in terms of geopolitics, it always gets away with that mischief. And I think what happened at the World Cup really demonstrated how terrible that approach is. You also have, for example, the Iranian players having to, I think they are not allowed to reside in the US. They're residing in Mexico. It causes logistical challenges, but also I'm sure the very many fans from countries like Venezuela and Iran find it very difficult to access these games if they're interested in. It has also been labeled as the most expensive World Cup in the history of World Cup. But of course, the World Cup football management is largely supposed to be done independently. But that independence is limited considering that there are a number of other factors. Now we are talking about immigration issues. We are talking about... So if we are to host, like we are supposed to host the AFCON, of course, the level of preparation should focus on a number. We have a history of, for example, getting the hotels ready after the event has passed. I remember when we hosted the Commonwealth heads of government here. It must have been in 2007. I was
2007, huh?
Yes, I was still in school. You had hotels which were being supported to host the events being completed post the event. You had places like Shimon saying we are going to build a hotel here. They shift the school and eventually the school doesn't take place. So I think we need to understand that to prepare for an event, we don't wait for it to start. We need to start early and make sure that everything that we need. For example, now people have been talking about the Hoima Stadium, but the stadium cannot operate in isolation. You must make sure that there is decent accommodation
and critical support and
infrastructure. Because some of these players that are coming to participate in these games are players working for playing for international clubs. They are not used to substandard, and even some of the clubs they play for, they have security standards where they are expected to reside in certain places, to move in certain places. So while we prepare, get the stadia ready, we should bear in mind that there is a lot of logistical preparation that is required beyond the stadium that play the supportive role. Of course, as it were, the World Cup and all these events, eventually the biggest beneficiary is the capitalism machinery. You have they're the ones that will cash out, and a few players will get some money. But it's yes,
broadcasting rights.
Yes, but I believe that it's a very important platform
for sourcing talent.
Yeah, it's a very important platform. Yes, and we are rooting for DRC. But again, on the issue of the issues that it has brought to the fore, you see, ordinarily Africans in the World Cup, and we are always supporting African countries sentimentally. But in the particular game between South Africa, I think, and Mexico, you had so many people, at least judging from social media posts, rooting for Mexico. Why? Because of the xenophobia attacks in South Africa targeting Africans. So I think we pick lessons that everything that happens is connected to other things, and we should stop looking at things from a very narrow perspective of saying, no, now we are only looking at football. Football is related to almost every other aspect of life.
To bring us to the other topics that we are going to discuss. Because
not yet. For you, who do you support? I've sat here patiently.
The person rudely interrupting the host this morning is none other than Mr. Oscar Semoya Musoke Musomesa, who is the rightful host. I think my 15 minutes of fame have come to an abrupt end.
But close it with you making a comment on the World Cup as well.
Then I remind him about the Nyankore proverb that when you have borrowed the bango and the owner shows up, you just
it just had it over.
Now the owner of the bango has arrived.
Say it in Nyankore.
Mukama umuringa kwa kizano tego mkono.
I support South Africa. I schooled in South Africa, and I have deep sentiments. I also have sentiments about South Africa.
Until they tell you to leave their job of supporting.
I think I have the floor, and I have my deep sentiments for South Africa, and I understand where the xenophobia is coming from. And although I don't support the attacks, but I do support the sentiment that Africans should return to their countries and fix them. I schooled in South Africa, and at the end of my studies, I came back to fix Uganda. And it's the reason why we're here at the Capital Gang to lend our hand in fixing Uganda. If we don't fix it, who will fix it for us? Are we going to outsource fixing Uganda to other people? So in that regard, I would like to hand over to Musomesa, who will lead us into the next set of
yes, I must apologize to the listeners for coming late. My lateness, the bypass, I thought I'd be 30 minutes slow, but it's actually about 45 minutes slow, and mostly because of indiscipline. Anyway, good morning to the listeners. We are here. I was easy on Edgar here. I called him up and told him, start with the World Cup, because he's starting to think that every time there's something controversial, he's the one who begins. So I said, don't worry, you start with World Cup.
Because he has a place of asylum, so
another place being like Burundi.
He can easily run to Bujumbura.
He has dual citizenship.
Multiple. I have a DRC as well.
and Bujumbura.
So, Edgar, we begin with you now on the debate of the day. You're a lawyer. If you look at the manner in which the former Lord Mayor was arrested, what would you have to say about it?
And I like to go into history, and I think you'll excuse me again on this occasion that I'll go into
2 minutes.
Well, if you give me 2 minutes, won't do it justice.
2 minutes in history, then you come back.
There's a professor at Makerere University, an ex-principal of the College of Law, who sent me an article written by Professor Shivji. And it was a new term that I've been introduced to. I was used to politics of the law and the law of politics. But on this occasion, I came across a term, lawfare, which is, I think, an amalgamation of the warfare and law. So using the law or weaponizing the law. And Shivji and President Museveni are contemporaries, and they both belong to a discussion group called the Changombe Group that was hosted by Mzee Augustine Ruzindana. It had President Museveni, it had Professor Yash Tandon, it had Nabudere, it had Professor Muhammedani. Muhammedani fell out with the group right from the word go, and you can see he's reduced it into publication, Slow Poison. Then we had Kayonga Agustin, former chairman of Kabarore district, the Greater Kabarore. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this is that President Museveni situated his ideology then in shaping the post-Idi Amini narrative, and importantly also reorganization of Uganda. And at the center of it was respect for human rights and deepening democracy. Fast forward 1986, President Museveni takes charge through a protracted struggle. A struggle that involved both the intellectuals, the so-called intelligentsia, and the peasantry. One of the rare occasions when the intelligentsia and the peasantry are on the same side of the struggle, and they successfully, the first guerrilla movement to take power in Africa. And on 29th of
the revolution failed.
on 29th of January, President Museveni took oath. My old man was acting chief registrar, so he was one of the people holding. It's a euphoric moment even for my own family, holding the oath book and showing him where to sign and what have you. So it was a euphoric moment and ushered in a new era. And when I say era, I'm talking of ERA, not the other era. A new era in the politics of Uganda and the constitution. So fast forward,
to current.
Fast forward, he establishes Akachiko constitution, the Odoki Commission, that had many luminaries like the late Mudola, Professor Dan Mudola as deputy. It had Miriam Matembe, it had Edward Kaihura, it had late Serwanga Rwanga. Really people you'd call luminaries, and who have shaped the thinking of Ugandans and where we are today. So fast forward, it's enacted in 1995, and on 8th October, it's very critical. 8th October they launched the constitution, and the Chief Justice was on leave. Then the following day, 9th October, we had what are called independence celebrations. And for the first time, independence celebrations were held outside Kololo grounds, and they were in Fort Portal. Very euphoric moment, because the president then talked very deeply about them, passionately. Mary Zenawi,
You know,
so I'm coming to
lawyers. You're taking us away from.
No, no, I'm not taking away. So the journey. So the background, and if you look at the preamble to the Constitution, it talks about our history, laying it out very clearly that it's been checkered history, constitutional instability, political repression, and what have you. So fast forward, come to the Lukwago arrest. The state has the responsibility to keep law and order. So if it be that Lukwago did commit an offense, the question, especially that is been arraigned in court for misprision of treason, the issues that arise are: one, if it's misprision of treason, did the information come into his possession as a result of his relationship with his client, in which case it becomes confidential. So that raises a legal question whether the charges are sustainable. Two, the manner of arrest. Quite frankly, I don't know whether to distinguish between what is false and what is true. There are many screenshots. I'm no longer very active on X or former Twitter. I took a break from it because of a lot of brain draining stuff and mentally deranged people who.
We will not go there. So just to give you information, the videos, there are available videos that can be played. So that one you don't need to speculate.
But you see, the
asking your lawyer, is there a recommend? I don't know. Is there an official way to arrest someone?
No. And it's there. It's laid out in the Constitution. That's why I was giving that rich background. That in 1995 Constitution we gave to ourselves and posterity the standards by which we should conduct ourselves.
Yes.
And that Constitution.
So there's a standard of arresting someone.
Standard operating procedures. When you go to arrest a person, either you have an arrest warrant, but if you have no arrest warrant, there are persons under the law who are recognized to effect an arrest upon a reasonable suspicion that an offense has been committed. Even a citizen can conduct a citizen arrest. But when you conduct an arrest, one, the person must be, one, you read out to them the offense that they have committed, you detain them in a gazetted detention center. You must allow access for immediate family. You must allow medical access, and also legal representation. Legal representation is sacrosanct. And more importantly, fair trial, the right to a fair trial, and the right to human, the right, those inalienable rights, inhuman and degrading treatment, torture. Those, we can't run away from them. And more importantly, I beg to add that we informed ourselves of these things because of the past and what we intend to build and also deepen the rule of law in Uganda. So where you depart from them is the question that we ask. Why are we departing from them? This administration has over the years had many threats of subversion and many stories, there are anecdotes of that. So the persons over the years who are involved in subversion have been treated not in the manner in which we are seeing how people are being treated at present. I'll give you some examples. In 1986, there was a senior police officer based in Jinja who was involved in subversion, force of back again, and was operating a bar at the pier, Jinja Port, and used to bring in instruments of war late in the night. And the president was fully informed, and when he went to visit Jinja, he identified the gentleman. He was in special branch and said, "We know what is happening. This is the new Uganda. Why don't you abandon that?" Now, to everybody's shock and consternation, President Museveni promoted him to Senior Assistant Commissioner for Police. The rank it was abolished, now Assistant Inspector General of Police, and brought him to State House to be in charge of investigations. And many similar. General Moses Ali was involved in subversion, so they say in 1991. He arrested him in a cabinet meeting, sent him to Rosira with dignity, but released him and rehabilitated him. Many such anecdotes. So the question is, why are we departing
when are we
from
going
that?
To brutality?
Eh?
Okay.
The question is, why
yes.
are we departing from that? And I know you want to talk about brutality.
No,
Honestly speaking,
I want to invite others to speak.
I know, but lastly, I know, because you keep talking of videos. For me, I've not yet verified them. The pictures I've been seeing. But more importantly, I beg to counsel that torture is a crime of international jurisdiction. It's a torture is a crime of international jurisdiction that is triable anywhere in the world. You remember Henry Kissinger?
Yeah.
Remember Henry Kissinger? He was in Brussels for, I think, the book launch or something like that. Then he was tipped off by the CIA that there was an arrest warrant for him. He took off through the back door of a hotel. Bibi Netanyahu can never fly in the whatever airspace of Europe anymore. He uses the Med Sea to go to the what? To the US. Why? He's indicted by the ICC. We have your favorite leader, Mr. Putin. He was denied entry into South Africa because of an ICC warrant. General Bashir, you know what happened in South Africa? In South Africa. So I beg to counsel that man. As Benjamin said, the things we do have a global perspective to it.
Thank you, Edgar.
Yeah, thank you.
Duncan, you've enjoyed Star Cafe goodies. They have missed you, but now you're here and you've listened patiently. What's your take on the arrest and maybe the charge?
Thank you,
Presumably, and again we'll come back to Edgar and Benjamin Katana on this one. Presumably, the former Lord Mayor knew of his charge maybe 48 hours later.
Thank you, Oscar. My brother Edgar is occupying O's seat. I implore him to adopt some pragmatism. He's sticking to the Constitution of 1995, which has unfortunately been tampered with on a couple of times, and it has led us to where we are now. When your person these days is picked and he appears maybe 48 hours later, like the Lord Mayor, fortunately or unfortunately, you'll be thankful, because we are in times where you have a couple of people that you cannot even account for. None of us, I think, has heard about where Sam Mugumya is, and I think there are a couple of other people who nobody knows where they are. So at least the road mayor was...
At this point, I must tell you that I invited you as an NRM person. And Edgar is an NRM person.
And when Katana phoned me in the parking, he teased me. He said, why had I been pushed into the fire? Where's everyone? Where's Ofono? Where's Dombo? Where's Moses Bialhanga? Where's Aran Kasuja? Why are they evading responsibility? Yeah, so when your person is handed over to... And
you're not speaking diplomatically like Edgar.
No.
Taking us to 1940-something and so on.
No, I'm not. I'm direct. When your person is handed over to legal custody, like the road mayor, in a short time in court, you're a bit appreciative. So the matter now is before courts of law, and I think nobody should be condemned before they get a fair trial. We do not know whether the road mayor is guilty or is innocent. We will give an opportunity to the prosecution to make their case. The road mayor was produced before the magistrate. The magistrate interpreted the circumstances. Of course, the former road mayor is sickly, and the circumstances surrounding his arrest and so forth. The magistrate used his discretion to. There was a bail application of 7 days. Prosecution had asked for 7 days. Studying the circumstances, the magistrate was able to reduce it to 4 days, and the ex-road mayor would be reproduced in court on Monday. And other issues, including the medical condition. At least there is a government hospital in Ruzira. We've had situations where people who have certain conditions are able to be taken out of Ruzira under escort, under security escort, to visit their private doctors, or you can be taken to the National Referral Hospital Murago if the condition is very serious. So at least now the road mayor has some of these guarantees. Some people went to talk to the president about the Besigye matter when he had chosen to go on hunger strike in prison. And I'm told the president said, no, don't worry, he's going to eat. People said, but the man might die. The president said, don't worry, he will not die. So we are praying that nothing bad comes to the road mayor while he's in safe custody. And
the president said this time around.
And we hope that on Monday, again, the law will take its course. The magistrate will use his discretion and his understanding of the law to ensure that there is justice.
Careful answers.
Halfway his submission, you reminded him.
Yes.
Then I saw the intonation and the change in language.
No, but
you should have left the man to flow.
But Duncan is always known for his laugh and for saying things as they are.
So you had to remind him.
I dress a lot in white these days as a sign of peace.
Yeah.
Oh, you have copied dear leader.
Today is supposed to be a laughing day for me. My old man turned 79, and I'm 50 years in marriage. But it's a sad occasion. We lost a journalist, as he said, and generally the mood here doesn't seem to be the usual mood that we have at
the events. And Duncan, you say this thing about people are disappeared. The way you said it, it's as if it's a usual thing.
No, it is not a usual thing. I think my brother Katana here, they have been documenting some names of and profiles of some of their supporters whom they cannot account for. And the last time there was an altercation between them and the government, some of the names on the list appeared to be fake. I remember there was a photo which appeared to have been of some Kenyan protester, and so forth and so forth. But that said,
the Kenyan protesters were returned to Kenya.
There's a time they had a list of their supporters who have disappeared. And when the government tried to verify these names that NUP had provided, they found out that some of them were not actually, they didn't exist. They did not exist. Yes, they did not exist. But that said, I think it is factually correct that some of the opposition people have disappeared, and we don't know who is holding them. None of our security agencies has come out to say we have so and so. Our case in point is this week, I think also, Natumanya Andrew Tabs, a very popular character on X, is involved in investigating. I think he used to be a journalist and so forth. He's been very active on the parliament investigation issue.
He was a crime preventer as well.
Yeah, I think he had a history of working with police under General Kaihura. So he disappeared this week. He was arrested around Kamocha. Nobody has come out.
Men in military uniform.
Nobody has come out to say that we are holding him. It is past 48 hours. Somebody tickled the CDF on X, and the CDF said he did not know who Tabs was and promised to go and find out who was holding him. Nobody has so far claimed responsibility. That is one example of people that we don't know where they are. There is also the case of Patricia Mugumya. That's a public matter.
And Amos Rwangoma.
And somebody we know because we don't know where he is.
There's also the Minister Namere.
Minister Namele?
Because she was arrested and rescued on the way. She has narrated those things.
No, she wasn't rescued on the way. She was taken.
I think our circumstances are different. Our circumstances are different because it was...
I brought it up because you said arrest. Now we need... going forward, we need to look at what is arrest, what is what.
The right words, seriously.
Honorable Name's case was lack of coordination among the security forces. So
they arrested her first and then...
Yeah, miscoordination among the security forces.
Just finally for you, Duncan, because I know what Katana is going to say as soon as he gets the microphone. that this is what is leading to the downfall of the government. Do you have that feeling?
Might not reach the downfall of the government, as the council here elaborated. For the last couple of years, things have been taking a downward spiral. You cannot say that the government is going to fall this year or next year because of these circumstances. No. Things have been changing, especially on governance and human rights side for the last 20 years or so. From the time we had when the army started getting involved in our politics, when we had the army involved in the by-elections in Kanungu, you remember, when we had the army involved in the 2006 presidential elections, and Lieutenant Magara, I think he himself, the people he was commanding, shot somebody around the Baranga area. And since then, the involvement of the army has been increasing. Yes, it hasn't led to the fall of the government, but you see, it could be a contributory factor because, like people have been saying, this government was built on the goodwill of the masses, and especially on the goodwill of the people from Uganda. And from what we see now is that the people of Uganda, from the voting trends in the last two elections, they have been withdrawing their goodwill. And also, regarding the issues of human rights and so forth, I think they have been the biggest victims. So you could see that the current circumstances are going to be a contributing factor towards the popularity or the lack of popularity of the NRM.
I had Raymond Mujuni on the show a while ago, and he was predicting, this was before the elections, a few months before the election, and he was saying his prediction was very soon NRM would be the opposition and PLU would be the majority in parliament. Are you heading to opposition, you NRM, or are you both?
I think they are the same and one. They are the same and one. General Moz has come on X many times to say that they have discussed some of these things with his father, the president. And what I think my brother Mujun did not predict correctly is that PLU, according to the general right now, is aspiring to be the leading opposition party in parliament, because that's what the general has said. He has said that PLU is going to produce the leader of opposition. So I don't know if PLU is officially breaking away from the NRM to become an opposition organization.
But according to him, PLU are the leaders. The speaker and deputy are PLU with appointments in the organization.
Yeah, so we are in some bit of
NRM. They were voted for as NRM people, so they are one of the same.
We are in a bit of a conundrum, but yes, by and large, PLU, they are NRM. They are NRM. They are NRM, but there are some people who, swinging with the wave.
Yeah.
They are swinging with the wave because the general has a lot of crowd at the same point. At this point, Baganda call it Masanyarazi. So people are trying to tap into the Masanyarazi. We had the issues of cabinet and so forth. So people were trying to cling on period to see if they could become a cabinet minister or now chair a committee or become a commission of parliament and so forth. It is the politics of convenience and expedience. It's not principled politics. Yeah.
Let's stop for a quick break, and we shall go to Benjamin Katana to begin with. And I predicted already what he's going to say. and then Derek Wande. Welcome back from the break. This is the Capital Gang. Benjamin Katana is on the microphone. The history is being said, so you don't need to go into it. Benjamin Katana, what's your take?
Benjamin doesn't like the history. For him,
Pardon?
Benjamin doesn't like the history.
Yeah.
The Uganda starts from the day they launched NUP.
But you know, people who have no sense of history are bound to run into wars, because history exists to teach us lessons, and nothing happens under the sun that has not happened before somewhere else. One's limited knowledge may make them think that it's a new thing, but it's not new. I think it would be problematic for anybody to look at the unfortunate incident involving Mr. Erias Lukwago from strictly a legal perspective. You know, too much uncontrolled power breeds arrogance. It also clouds judgment, and it is that has always led people to make mistakes. When Napoleon marched on Moscow in 1812, he felt that he had the entire world under his feet. He was guided by what he perceived to be his power and not strategy. And you know what happened to him? Even if you go further in history, in 480 BC, when the Xerxes crossed the Hellespont, he also was consumed in the power he felt in his head. But he, what happened to him later? So, when you have been following the comments of the Chief of Defense Forces, who also happens to be the son of the man that has been at the helm of our country for the last 40 years, you see largely a man consumed in power. He says, no, but they can summon me. He said, yes, Lukwago, how can he summon me? So I'll take him to the basement. I think it's the first person I have seen who violates human rights and brags about them. Even Amin used it to deny. Everyone else denies. But I think for him, he looks at this not as politics, but as a battlefield. If you, the fifth generation warfare is largely about perception and narratives. And I think for him, he's on the battlefield to ascend to the throne of presidency by subduing everyone, silencing every voice except those that are cheering him. And while he may think that the silence of the people means that they have given consent to be treated that way, I think he's making a very big mistake that has been made by several other people. I see he compares himself with Alexander the Great sometimes. Maybe he's also yet to compare himself with Julius Caesar. But even all those, even if he were those, what has in history caused them problems was a question of misjudgment and being consumed in power, to think that they have unlimited power to do whatever they want in the world. The reason why we have the constitution, why we have courts of law, is to ensure that there are checks and balances. That if the intelligence of the country is of the opinion that a person has committed a crime, that there is a channel through the crime investigations, this information is handed over to the right institutions. The institutions take the appropriate steps, bring this person to court. But many times when we have come out to say that we are living under military dictatorship, the people who take a very narrow view of things say, but there are elections, there is parliament. But they forget that the dictatorship is largely about control, absolute control, and no checks and balances. Now, you have a person who has been, in my view, not even just in my view, factually, the manner in which he was arrested went against all the established protocols of conducting arrest. The most decent thing police would have done was to arrest the people who took Lukwago to the police station. You have the spokesperson of police saying, we don't know anything about him. Then the next day he's saying we can confirm we have him in our custody. They should have arrested the people who abducted him and eventually took him to police to sanitize an illegal operation that they had conducted. Now, to make matters worse, you have the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, which really should, whose responsibility is to, in exercise of prosecutorial discretion, make sure that only cases that meet the threshold are taken on. Is not even bothered by what has transpired, how the person has been arrested, how the person has been brought to police. He also sanctions the charge and the person is presented before court. In that state, the court also shamelessly sanitizes the abduction and remands the person. Why? Because all these institutions have been turned into lame ducks. They fear to offend the person who has caused the arrest, and this person actually has not stopped at that. He has said this Lukwago is going to spend 9 years in jail or 10. So you are telling us that you're conducting a trial, but you have a chief of defense forces who is saying, this one is already serving a sentence. And what explains that? What explains that is that state institutions have been captured. They are now used as a tool of doing politics for an individual, by extension now through the chief of defense forces, who is also his biological child. Of course, we cannot blame the chief of defense forces. We blame the commander-in-chief, who has in a way sanctioned the conduct by not taking appropriate actions against the individual office bearer. The only thing he has done is to promote, which by implication shows that he supports what is happening. Previously, the people who have made even milder political statements have been dealt with through the appropriate channels. They have been court-martialed, they have been punished, but this one gets out with anything, and that's what gives him the confidence to come back and say, I will do what I want. It is only my father who can summon me. And the father has chosen not to summon him. Edgar says, I don't like history. I think he's mistaken. I love history very much, you know, and I always love to make because even the oldest history, the Octavian Augustus, the emperor of Rome, set strict rules on morality, on discipline. Now, the person who was found to fall short was his only biological daughter, and when this matter was brought to his attention, he said she must serve as an example to the whole country, to the whole empire, that the rules must be adhered to. He banished her to an isolated island where she lived in isolation, in prison-like conditions. Now, the commander-in-chief has an opportunity, has all the instruments to take appropriate action, because Edgar was making reference to the preamble to our constitution. The uncheckered history that Uganda has been trying to resolve is that if you read by chaos, then you are opening the floodgates for chaos. Because the people that are not comfortable with chaos will devise ways of starting counter chaos. It may take one day, it may take 1 week, it may take but it will eventually be on your doorstep. This business of saying, I have power to do A, B, C, D. In this, and the distinction between when during Idi Amin's time, one of the things that caused him a lot of trouble was while he targeted many people, he also targeted the members of the elite class. Now, class is also like a tribe for some people. It's like identity. Today,
it's a lifestyle. It's a livelihood.
Yes, today. In Uganda, what has happened to the former Lord Mayor and the several other friends that we are talking about the people like John Bosco Chibarama, people like Damulira, who were victims of enforced disappearances in 2020. The other day we were burying the wife of Damulira about a week ago. Duncan was insinuating that the people don't exist. These people exist, they have families. Yeah, so it was largely people not known to people like Edgar, who come here every Saturday and speak English. And like Amin was targeting, professors, lawyers. But now the paradigm has shifted in Uganda. Today you have the Lord Mayor, you have the President of Law Society in exile, just like it was with Sam Njuba. Sam Njuba was in exile. Now you have Semakade in exile. You have Lukwago in jail, targeted the same way people like Kasibayo were targeted because they represented Museveni. So when the people of Uganda came together to make a constitution, and I've also seen an insinuation to the effect that it is that to suggest that it's only the father and the uncle that fought. This war was fought by the people of Uganda. It was, in fact, that family did not lose anybody in the war. If you go to Wero today, there are scars of so many people who paid for this war with blood. So for you to suggest that the war was fought by only one family is to attempt to rewrite history. Families lost people. Now, when people of Uganda came after fighting that war to write a constitution and agreed on a minimum national consensus, they were trying to walk away from the past. And that past, I think Professor Samuel Karjire, in his book, The Roots of Instability, made reference to it. That every time there's a change of government, there's an attempt to drive the enemy beyond the borderlines. Now, the people you have classified as enemies, they produce, they reorganize, they wait for one day to also return and drive you out of beyond the borderlines. You have seen the children of Lukwago, the trauma they went through. The children, I've given you an example of Damulira, example of all these people that have lost their dear ones to the hands of state-inspired violence. You're training people who one day will be waiting for an opportunity to revenge. And I think for as long as...
I don't know. Then Gaza, apartheid, 440 years.
Yes.
Beirut.
Beirut.
1983. Beirut, 1983. Ariel Sharon.
And I think you saw the write-up by General Flynn when he was advising Trump about what is happening. And he said, in his part of what he was saying, prepare for attacks on our shore in retaliation for what is happening in Iran and the Middle East. By continuously treating people the way you are treating them, you are telling them that this is how people who are not in power should be treated. There has been a time in the history of our country where soldiers looked for where to hide uniforms and they couldn't find such a place because the soldiers had become enemies of the people. This NRA, when it came here, and later UPDF, they positioned themselves as the people's army. They even composed the song and said jeshi la wananchi. But today, their conduct is a complete departure from that identity that so many people sacrificed to build and put it where it is. It has become an enemy of the people. And I can tell you, as the day follows the night, there is no repression that does not breed resistance.
Thank you, Benjamin. Derek, I didn't predict to Duncan here what Derek would say, but I guess we can.
Oscar, I just came to learn that you are a student of language, just like I am. And I would like to guide a little bit on the kind of language we are using in studio today. That for us students of language, we can describe things or animals by the sounds they produce. If you find an animal grunting, you'll certainly know that's a pig, right? If you find it barking, it's a dog. This morning, I was listening. I've been on the space from 6:30 of the Uganda Law Society, and they were going around this conundrum of former Lord Mayor Lukwago, and I had all the legal jargons, some of which I'd never heard, and I guessed what former Lord Mayor went through was something like grunting, and it was a pig. It wasn't an arrest, like I was hearing the legal language. It was an abduction. So let's call it an abduction for today, not an arrest. At least per what I heard, according to the legal jargons. The lawyers in the room have evaded the language, but I will try to use it. So I've documented abductions in this country since 2020 November. And up to date, I know that probably Benja has not mentioned it, but he knows that over 5,000 NUP supporters and leaders have faced in one way or the other abductions or enforced disappearances. I know that
5,000.
Yeah, at least 5,000 have been victims.
But Duncan says some were fictitious.
He's lying.
Who is lying?
Duncan is lying.
You see, I don't want to disparage in any way or
I'm on the floor.
And appear like I'm not validating the pain of other people. But this matter came on the floor of Parliament, brought by Mpuga, the Honorable Mpuga, and I think the number drastically fell to about 18.
Let's use language correctly.
Okay, but Derek, let's not also decorum. Don't say things like he's lying. The decorum does not allow us. Yeah.
The information that Derek is giving involves those who were abducted, not taken through due process, and were released, dumped somewhere. And that's why he said
18,
have been
actually
victims.
19 are the ones who are missing up to today.
Yes.
But I said 5,000 have been.
I stand guided. And we shouldn't invalidate the pain of people. Their pain is our pain as well. And I hope if also get into pain, as Namere did, you'll also have the same sympathy.
So
we are all human beings.
I have said when I was starting.
My one is you guide like the way Katana guided.
Okay.
Don't use words like
So,
but you said he's a student of language.
I have said I'm a student of language, and I said at least 5,000 have been victims of a forced disappearance. Victims, some of whom have been dropped and released at certain points. But I want to come to the why I said candidly that Duncan was lying. Yes. That topic came up in Parliament, and I followed it very, very religiously. The NUP first produced a list of 4,468 people, and government produced 117 people. And it invalidated about 300 people missing at that time. NUP then amended their list and brought 648 in the second tabling of the list on the floor of Parliament. In April 2021, government, the Minister of Internal Affairs, J.J. Odong, produced a list of 1,500 people on the floor of Parliament saying these have been part of our protracted arrests and stuff like that. And
which year was that?
2021, April. 1,500. So, why I was saying that he was lying, he probably followed the story halfway. I was documenting this story,
but I'm
up to
going
the
to
end.
insist, let's not use words like
Okay, no, he was not informed.
Okay.
I retract.
So he was not accurate in his.
So, to date, about 5,000 have been, and most of them have been picked up in the manner under which Lord Mayor was picked. This brings then the conversation and context of the fact that do we have a haven in Uganda where we can stand as Ugandans and say we are not happy about what's happening? No, we are not. On Monday, I was listening to the leader of opposition in his press conference, saying things and asking the CDF, who the hell are you? And I saw that the CDF also commented and said you are the next. So there is every freedom of speech in Uganda, but you can't guarantee freedom after speech. What I can say about this matter, it has knocked on very many doors. On Thursday afternoon, I was writing a story about who is safe, who is not safe, and I called 3 spokespersons of government, and all of them evaded the question of what's the government's responsibility in protecting Ugandans under such circumstances, which I started by saying that they are illegal, so to say. The Honorable Namere is NRM. The Amuria woman MP is NRM. We had the case of the Honorable Barnabas Chinkasemire.
Survived. They could have picked it because the guy was picked from the former speaker's residence.
Yes, the former Buyaga County MP Barnabas Chinkasemire is NRM. And each time we came here, or we've been speaking about the story of abductions, it has always been the red side of which my brother Benjamin Katana is wearing, and that's his party. And we've been mentioning very prominent names, mentioning names that you've never heard of, mentioning people from the ghetto and stuff like that. It has now crossed. It has now spread out. Now, people from PFF are crying. People from UPC are crying. People from FDC are crying. People from NRM are crying. And the question is, who is safe?
DP.
Well, DP is crying as well. I've seen exchanges on X between Jeno and what's it, Mbide, Mukasa Mbide. They've been exchanging about what's happening and what their fears and stuff like that. So, as a nation, we are in this state. I've read avalanches of books, stories, and information about what used to happen in Milton Obote's regime and you know, Idi Amin. This is the time when everyone is sounding and you know, appearing to be very jittery about what they can say about this matter or what they can't say. Very jittery in the real sense of it, that I will ask Oscar, why was Lukwago? Before I finish, he tells me, no, don't ask me that question. But now, you know, Oscar is happy to ask us here. And then I saw how Duncan was very jittery about everything he was bringing out. It's a jittery time. It's scary because you don't know what's going to befall you after you've said whether it's wrong or right. If you said it's right, then the people who are the victims of circumstance, or who are affected in this matter, will come for you and say, how can you condone such an act? If you say it's wrong, then the perpetrators are going to come for you and say, how can you condemn our act and stuff like that. So it's a very jittery time, and probably not the very most comfortable topic to handle, but yet as a country, we need to discuss these matters and we need to put them on the floor.
There's most recent something that was passed, Benjamin, maybe you could remind me, something to do with it is now okay to prosecute someone who's been tortured. If that hadn't been passed, maybe this case would have died.
No, it was a ruling by the Court of Appeal. Edgar, remind me of the parties.
I don't remember the parties, but it was about Section 18 of the enforcement of...
Because the enforcement of the
fundamental human rights.
Yeah, the ruling was to the effect that having been tortured does not does not take away your liability if you committed any crime. A departure from the earlier position, which was the effect that if you're tortured or handled in a certain manner that does not comply with the established principles of arrest and treatment, pre-trial treatment, that it has the effect of defeating automatically acquittal. So now that position has now, because of that ruling of the Constitutional Court, it may not necessarily get you an exit. Yeah.
And Edgar, you say some of these are international standards. So how does that relate to the international standard? You're the law professor here.
No, I mean, I'm talking of the international standards insofar as the
torture.
The torture is concerned.
But I'm also asking about the international standard so far as a tortured person being presented and prosecuted.
I've not addressed my mind to that particular one, because I think that it's a decision of this week.
Yeah, like last week.
I've not addressed my mind to it. But the international standards are international standards. We may wish to depart from them, but they have consequences. And we have some liberal democracies in Africa. Kenya, with vibrant civil society and civic responsibilities. South Africa, man, you risk, if you're involved in this kind of operation where a person's human rights are infringed, in particular torture, inhuman and degrading treatment. You could be on a flight through JKIA and the Martha Karuas of this world will have prepared an arrest warrant for you, like it happened for Bashir. And you had they were going to pick him from, this is a head of state, not the plane, from the conference. But he was tipped off by I don't want to go into the details of who tipped him off and who whisked him out of the conference center, may be revealing state secrets. But Bashir was going to be arrested. And I beg to counsel that, gentlemen, these are very serious matters concerning the well-being of Ugandans, we are at a confluence, which I rightly described from Professor Shivji, that we are engaged in lawfare, where institutions of the state, where the law is now being used to emasculate about persons who don't necessarily agree with you. And in a pluralistic society, quite frankly, you expect people to be for you and those against you. And those against you, the way to reach out to them is persuasion. And I indicated, Musomesa, that for the last 40 years, President Museveni has been using persuasion, bringing on board people who were even plotting against him. And I gave names. There are other names I might have left out, but I'd be very shocked to find that some of the most ardent supporters of President Museveni today are persons who were plotting against him yesterday.
Well, we're going to stop for a break, but let's stop for a break and then we'll come back to you there. Crispy Kaheru in Germany, he says he's listening loud and clear. He's met a former Ugandan ambassador and he says, I like the way you've taken back your seat from Edgar. Welcome back from the break. This is the Capital Gang legal gymnastics here, political gymnastics, and media gymnastics. Benjamin, you were going to give us some clarity.
No, just going to
after you give the clarity, I'd like to know, because we have two lawyers here, how that Kizza Besigye case will progress.
Well, I was just going to share information that the matter you were referring to was the the annulment of Section 11, 2, A, B, and C of the Human Rights Enforcement Act. The effect of those provisions was that once a person has been tortured, once a suspect is tortured and it is brought to the attention of court and sufficient evidence is adduced, it would lead to automatic acquittal. So the new position is that while the courts may not necessarily condone torture, but they cannot merely base on the torture to acquit you. I hope that is clear enough. And,
so
there's something else.
Court agreed with the Attorney General, saying the act disrupted the delicate balance between the rights of a victim and the rights of a suspect.
Yeah, you are asking what happens to the... Well,
there's a tweet saying they are together. So...
Yeah.
They both need help.
I think from the time Dr. Besigye was arrested, and I think related to what I said earlier, first of all is that the manner in which Dr. Besigye was arrested went against all the established protocols. Abducted is the right word. Went against all the established protocols of conducting an arrest. Of course, also pointed to the growing lawlessness across the region. There has been an attempt, particularly because when he was brought in, again the Chief of Defense Forces said, no, this man must be hanged. The other day, and even the manner in which the trial has been conducted clearly shows you that the intention is to make sure that he is convicted, whether he has there is evidence or not. But now you have the lead lawyer in that matter. 2 years later, the state has remembered that he has something to do with the offense for which his clients are on remand. The effect...
Misprision of treason means what?
Means that you are aware that a treasonous act was being committed and that you did not report it to the minister or the chief of intelligence and those specific office bearers. The effect, in my view, is that you're sending a message to the judiciary and to the lawyers involved in the matter to make sure that your wishes, which you have publicly expressed, are fulfilled. And I don't think there's any judge who wants to go through what Molod has gone through. It even taints the whole process. That even if, because it's the commentary that has been coming from him, the manner in which court has been handling this matter, to the extent that the team even sought to have the judge, step down from conducting the trial. Even if, which
Has
in my
the judge
view,
stepped down?
he hasn't. He declined. You see, the justice should not only be done, but it should be seen to be done. And where these courts get legitimacy and public confidence is from conducting themselves in a manner that inspires confidence in the population. But now, if the population sees that the courts, the DPP and everyone is working to make sure that the wishes which have been expressed on the ex-hand of the CDF are met, there is no way that process is going to have public confidence, is going to be understood as a process that is being conducted to achieve the ends of justice, but only to achieve the wishes of an individual. It's a very dangerous precedent for our country. I have met and seen the state in which Dr. Besigye is in Luzira. And I think everyone else has, at least even on TV, seen him in court. You also, the state in which Council Erias is in, you ask yourself, are we working towards building a harmonious nation, or we are planting seeds of hatred and disunity? Because for as long, there is nobody who says that if a person commits a crime should not be treated, it should not be tried. But there is a reason why the established processes, the summary is due process. When you suspect a person has committed a crime, they have, because the right to a fair trial embodies the right to due process. Due process is part of fair trial. But if you want to conduct things the way you want, and you are insisting that people should look at this as a fair trial, it will only be you in your head to convince yourself that what you have done is fair trial, but it's not. And I think the distinguished leaders of the judiciary and the DPP need to have a point of reflection. These are not simple matters. These are matters that have an implication on the future of the country. And every day they go to their offices. I see them now launching this digitalization. Those are important things, but they are not as critical as building a nation that operates on law and order. All those things, they are building on sand. They will go up in flames. Why? Because of their inability to be firm, exercise their constitutional mandate, and offer legitimate advice to the executive. I have read the former Chief Justice in his book when he met Idi Amin and offered advice when Idi Amin was establishing military tribunals, and he gave a firm opposition to what he was suggesting. He lives today.
Yeah.
So these ones think that they are engaging. Yes, they think that they are investing in self-preservation, but they don't know that that self-preservation will be in vain if they allow lawlessness to take root in our country.
Edgar, you're a tough lawyer. If I was in trouble, I'd like you to be the one.
He's a teacher of law.
Yes, I'd like you to be the one batting for me. But will you go and take on that case?
I would certainly do so. I've taken on more dangerous issue. I've represented Somali, so-called Somali terrorists. Somali terrorists, and I still believe in their innocence.
Until court decides.
No, there were issues to do with the administration.
But for now, can this case go on?
I've represented Rwandan refugees and brought me issues with authorities across.
Yes.
So that, but unfortunately for me, I took a stand.
Matt Muno, I've been seeing you tackling him on X. He says for the first time Tabara is on point. He normally confuses us with a lot of history and English. but today he's happy with you.
Thank you for the feedback. But I took a stand, and Mr. Katana, you'll appreciate, we come along from very far. And you know why I've taken this stand. I took a stand not to comment on Dr. Besige's matters. Yeah.
No, we are on the legal issue.
Even then, anything to do with Besige, I'll keep off. And
with Lukwago.
Lukwago, I did.
And we're still with him. So can he get a lawyer? Can Lukwago get a lawyer?
He has Segona, he's partner representing him. And quite frankly,
so Segona is going to represent him.
He's representing, that's the person I
And now that, you're the teacher of law, you need to teach us here.
Yes.
If your lawyer has been imprisoned with you, can your case go on? Does the judge need to recuse? Because that lawyer has been having exchanges with the judge, and now will the judge continue the case?
His made an appearance was at March India Court. I don't know whether he's going to be added onto the charge sheet of Dr. Besigye. I really don't. I don't know what the direction the DPP is taken. I've not even seen the charge sheet.
One of the Makohas. Misprison of prison.
Oh, no, misprison of prison. And
this is an education point now. So
education point. And
does Lukwago stop being the other lawyer, and then he himself gets a lawyer?
These are more of procedural matters.
Yes. Does he ask that I cannot be judged by you?
The Makoha case is not.
It's misprison.
It's misprison of treason. Yeah. Is it also before the same judge?
Yeah. We don't know the Makoha case, Edgar. You need to tell us what it is. Two lawyers here speaking to each other.
You see, Benjamin, and you know why I'm very uncomfortable, quite frankly. And
I've clarified for you. We're talking about
please
Lukwago.
Give me the grace to stay off.
Professor of law, tell us about will Lukwago get a lawyer? Will Lukwago resign as a lawyer of the other case?
Musomesa, you're being very unfair.
No, this is you are on a top program where you need to educate people.
Yes, I would love to educate people.
I've accepted that you won't talk about Besigye, but talk about Lukwago.
But you see, now the matters that are principally before court. If I mouthed off a legal opinion,
it would be wrong.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yes. But you can talk about Lukwago, not Besigye case.
I know the line.
You and Katana cannot talk. And even here, when we talk, you guide us that this one. What's the term used? Contempt. You are the one who's supposed to guide us.
No, not contempt. It's subjudice.
Yeah.
Matters that are
so when I have two lawyers, I am confident that every time that happens, you will guide.
There are things I know about those matters that I don't want to bring to the fore. And
would that cause you misprison?
No.
If you are admitting on radio that you know,
he has knowledge.
So you have knowledge, so you should be charged with misprison as well.
Not really knowledge.
Maybe he has knowledge as an investigator.
Mr. Katana, whatever you're insinuating, but Mr. Katana knows why I'm keeping off this.
I may know, but I'm talking about Lukwago. Mayor Lukwago, can he get a lawyer? Can he resign from where he's been lawyering?
It's my but I mean, if he's already incarcerated, then his freedom is already compromised.
There are some people who have been saying, I'll be my own lawyer. The other guy was convicted the other day.
It is said,
didn't he say he was his own lawyer?
There's a saying we have in the profession that a lawyer who has himself a lawyer has a fool for a client.
Right.
So he shouldn't represent himself. He needs Muganga Hajigange. Teganga. So similar. But please give me the grace. I keep off those discussions. On other things, I'll speak.
There are no other things to speak about.
We can allow him to leave the
show. Duncan, how you know the lawyers is the professor of law here should have been telling us how such a case can proceed.
Let him learn from the citizens now.
He should learn from a citizen.
From the unlearned. From the unlearned. Well, I think Besigye's case has been one of the most unfortunate cases that Uganda has had to deal with. And somebody on Twitter the other day, a medical doctor, she committed Sarota, I've forgotten her name, she asked and she said, the world must be wondering what kind of raw Ugandan judiciary rant.
She's actually his sister.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So you have to sympathize with the judiciary because I think some of the decisions are beyond them, and like Council Tabaro here said, the country has gotten into some mood of self-preservation. Let it be the judiciary, let it be parliament, executive, it is nobody wants to bear the cat. You know, when Hitler was going to...
Before you go give the example, one could say one could say that the case is going to take off, and that's a good thing. Now we shall, because this court is a public area, so we shall now learn everything. You could argue that finally the case will happen.
Finally the case will happen. You see, the lawyers here know better. There are many matters that have risen in the Besigye case. I think now there are around like 3 or 4 different applications before different judicial officers. Application for bail here, application for this here. We, the ordinary people, laymen who cannot interpret the law very correctly, we can't even follow the case, because many matters have risen from the main matter. So now even you see Lukwago is probably, is now co-accused, so the BCJ charge sheet is going to be amended to include the Lukwago. I guess that's the matter. But that's not a given that the case is going to take off. If the case has not taken off for the last 1 year and a half, I think now, it's not a given that if Lukwago joins the case, is enjoined onto the case, that it's going to take off. But what I can say about that case is that Uganda is probably where Kenya was in the 80s and early 90s. Some people like Lukwago and BSJ must accept their fate, that they are the sacrificial lamb. They are the ones who are going to nourish our governance and democracy. The way people like Kenneth Matiba, the way people like James Orengo, Raila Odinga, etc. paid that price in Kenya, because President Museveni and his team in the 80s paid some form of other price to restore some bit of order and the peace and security that we have today. Now somebody must pay a price to strengthen our governance and the democratic institutions. And I think that dice has fallen on Lukwago, BSJ and others, unfortunately. But I want to agree with my brother Benjamin on one point, where he says people are moving around launching things and brick and mortar everywhere, you know, with new court, new judiciary building, Jeros Tower and all these things. But you see, like he said, without rule of law, this is like building on the sand, because you cannot guarantee the existence of this brick and mortar if you cannot guarantee rule of law, because absence of rule of law means you can slide into anarchy anytime, and these gains you're talking about, you have been consolidating for some time, can be wiped in a year, in 2 years. You can see, the other day I was on Twitter seeing our ambassador in Sudan, Honorable, rather His Excellency's Semdu or somebody, and he was in Khartoum, standing at before the ruins of our embassy, our former Chancery building in Khartoum. It's in ruins. You brought to the ground. So you see Khartoum, which was a very modern city, even 50 years ago, ruined in 1 year, in 2 years. So we must make sure that whatever we are doing, we strengthen institutions, not individuals. We strengthen the rule of law.
Yeah. It looks like Capital Gang has cooked Edgar here. People are saying, I'm not understanding the lecturer, sir. Be straight to what you know. Don't fear. Profession is profession. Okay.
Well, it's not that I'm fearing.
Yeah.
There are other reasons.
That is the fear.
No. I've never feared to take a stand, Mr. Wandera. And I've taken a stand on
Mr. Wandera, the topic was, so how will this case move on? If some lawyers, like someone who lectures the law, writes a very good that's the only place I don't call him noisy, when he's writing the articles.
And rumor monger. But in these places on this table I call him noisy.
So you enjoy my articles, but you don't enjoy my appearances on Capital Gang.
Some of them, but the articles are superb. But now,
thank you.
He has not really guided us on how that trial can go. So we are conjecturing. We'll finish with Benjamin. He might give us more information.
When you are in a clan and the clan leader doesn't give guidance and leaves the grandchildren to try figure themselves out, that is the beginning of anarchism in such a clan. So it's and how I submit.
People are going to kill him. And he responds to them.
Yeah.
So Samuel Kadu says, having known what was to be discussed, why did Edgar Tabaro come to Capital Bank? And I informed him last night.
He came to excuse himself.
I actually
accused himself to usually go.
And can I say that this afternoon or this morning, Edgar Tabaro is the vivid description of where Uganda is. That the people who are supposed to provide guidance in terms of protecting Ugandans security-wise are the people who are most gripped in fear. They are so gripped in fear, they can't say anything. You find a police officer or even a traffic officer on the road, and he will tell you, do you know nowadays we cannot tamper stopping drones that are numberless on the road. It comes, it's numberless, and you just can't help but let it go, because then you don't know.
But how would a traffic officer know it's a drone if it's numberless?
No. The van.
Mr. Musoke, you can't be so naive.
The van.
How would you know? There are so many vans.
No, those vans are called drones in their real sense.
At my workplace, we own one.
Yes.
So if we had not put a word school van, how would you know?
Yes. So if it's numberless, a traffic officer will not dare stop it.
So Wandera, you're telling listeners of Capital Gang, just go buy drones and put no number.
That is where we are as a country. And it explains, and I so much forgive my elder brother Tabaro, because I've seen more when a person who would give guidance tells you, Derek, my brother, just tell the people you're going to write this article for that I am not around. You did not get it.
How
He's telling me
proceed? Is the case?
We let us live like Uganda is living. Every day we live it like it is.
We watch.
Let's just watch, because if we can't get guidance, then who are we as Ugandans to
And a quick comment from Duncan. You said the case it's coming back on Monday.
Yes.
So we shall learn more on Monday.
Back on Monday is Council Erias Lukwago's bail application.
Okay.
Which seems to be different from the main matter of Dr. Kiza Besigye.
So his bail application is going to be premised on what? On poor health?
Yeah, on poor health, yes. Grounds.
And evidently Salongo is
it's public information.
If you can use community diagnosis, and it's on record that he's gone for spine, I think, surgery
if we remember how one time Dr. Kiza Besigye appeared in court visibly frail.
Visibly frail. The same courts have refused to grant Alex Waisam for bail to go and attend his dying wife. So denied to give him bail to go and bury the wife.
No hope.
Yeah.
So to the other lawyer who might guide us, at what point, because he said 2 years later now that misprison charge has been referred, but then can the case, does he stay on as a lawyer, or as Edgar says, now he said that as a lecturer, if you are a lawyer of yourself, then you're not a good client?
I think it is very difficult for him to stay on the legal team.
Yeah.
Because his freedom is restrained. When there is a court appearance, he will need to get a production warrant as well, and which also has to be granted by court to allow him to come and attend court of the. So I think it becomes very, very difficult. But
so
being the fighter that he is, he may choose and stretch the courts and keep, every time there's that matter, he will seek for production warrant to come to court and conduct his, but I don't think he will be able to in the circumstances, because and it's like if you are a doctor, you can't, and you are on remand, you can't say I'm going to
treat my people
at the clinic. I think it becomes very difficult. Your programs are not according to your wishes. So I think it becomes very, very difficult.
So clearly he needs a lawyer of his own.
And he already has lawyers on his own.
Oh, he has
him. Yes.
Segona
yes, his partner, the Honorable Segona, and the others.
But Segona is also on the list of those that should be taken in next.
For misprison.
No, they put him on after who? After Lukwago, I'm coming for Segona. I'm coming
what is
for
happening?
So if they are taken in, what happens?
Is that lately they just, and I'll draw from the experience of NUP, especially our colleagues who are now who are on remand by the magistrate court at Kanyanya for allegedly participating in unlawful drilling, the so-called military parade. So every person of ours they arrest and they are looking for a charge to press against them. They attach them to that file. And the very prominent example is the one of our deputy spokesperson, Alex Wise Wamufumbira. On the day the alleged parade is said to have taken place, he had escorted the wife to go for chemotherapy, who is now deceased. He was nowhere near Kavule. But because they wanted to find a file on which they can tag him. So that's what is happening. They are abusing the court process to have people kept away, not because they are suspected to have committed any crime, but because the regime wants them out of circulation. And so whatever charge they want, they can charge anybody. That's what is happening because the DPP has decided, to sleep on the job.
Anyone, any lasting comment as we close the show? Professor Edgar Tabaro, you've worried your listeners.
Professor Emeritus.
I've just received a message from Dismas Nkunda, and he is very worried that his young brother Edgar has chosen to fear to comment about matters. He's very worried.
This Masekunda is my distant relative and my mentor.
People are saying my son goes to law school. Well, what will happen?
No.
So thank you.
Quite frankly, I didn't. Quite frankly, Mr. Mesa, thank you for hosting us. I took a stand generally not to, even the last time you asked me with I took a stand. But
I've agreed with you, so that's why I kept to Lukwago. On
the Lukwago issues, I've articulated what I think is wrong and where we should be going as a country, and I gave a deep history to that.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
I hope Bechikwatako listened.
Thank you. Duncan, thank you. We've missed you on Gang. Star Cafe has missed you. Good, you've come back. And we've been few. Your performance has not been bad in terms of Star Cafe.
I can't match a Pondo.
So thank you, listeners of the Capital Gang. Thank you very much for listening in. Star Cafe, we've thanked them. Rap Cuts by DJ Nyoe is next. I am Oscar Semwe Amsoke, and I shall see you next week.